So, Matrix Live, first Matrix Live after FOSDEM 2025. If you're watching this, maybe we met. If we did, nice to see you again. Today, we are going to be talking all about what's been happening with Element X. We have Mauro, we have Doug, we have Benoit in absentia, all demoing the latest cool stuff going on there. Quentin is going to talk to us about how you might migrate a really big home server onto the Matrix authentication service. And by really big home server, I think we're talking about matrix.org. And then finally, David Langley has agreed after much encouragement to show a very, very early demo of how you might do message search on web. Right, let's get to it. Mauro, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm here. So yeah, let's start with the knocking feature that we just implemented on Element X. So for this demo, I'm going to actually use two simulators to show you pretty much how the knocking feature works. First of all, I'm going to create a new room. And the first thing you will probably notice is that now when you select the public option, you also get a new option to actually select what is your favorite, what is your preferred method of accessing the room. So do you want to let anyone enter the room, or do you want people to ask you to actually join the room, which is actually the knocking feature that we have been implementing so far. So I'm going to select knocking. Another thing you probably will notice that is quite new with this feature that comes with knocking is the fact that now we have the option to actually add an address to the room when the selection is actually, when the visibility of the room is public. By default, if you just put any name, like for example, let's say knock demo, something like this, you will see that by default, we always have the address kind of match the name of the room where it is possible. Of course, we do some sanitization of the string so that it's actually a valid string there. So I just call this knock demo and create it. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do now is to take this this address and send it to another person, which is the other account I'm using right now. So you will now see that the preview for this knocking room is slightly different. Now, instead of having the option to join or essentially no information at all, now we actually can see the room address, the room name, also the avatar. And in case there is a topic, we can actually also see the topic. And we also get the option to send a request to join to the admins of this room. And if we want, we can actually also optionally append some kind of introductory message, something that you want maybe to introduce yourself politely, something like hello, it's me, Mauro, please let me in. Okay, so we send the request to join, we go back to our brand new room, and the first thing you will notice is that we get this banner shown at the top, which will tell you what are the recently received knocks for the room, the request to join. You have three choices here. You can either view all the requests like this. You can decide to accept the request. This only happens if there is only one request pending in that moment. Or you can decide to essentially hide the requests for now because you maybe want to actually accept or review them later. In fact, as long as I don't press the X button, you will see that this banner always appears. As soon as I press the X button, all the requests that were essentially in the banner are marked as already read. So you're not seeing them anymore in the banner. Only if a new request comes up, you will see the banner again. However, if you want to still see all the actually pending requests for the room, you actually just go to details, go to request to join, and you will see a nice list here with all the people, all their introductory message, and you can decide to decline and ban if you think it's a malicious user, or just accept them, which we will do in this case. And yeah, on the other screen, just immediately we received a button notification for accepting the request. I want to point out that accepting a knock doesn't immediately get you in the room. The knock gets converted into an invite. So now I get the invite for the room, and I can decide still if I want to actually join it or not, which I will do. And that's it. This is knocking. However, this is not the only thing that we implemented for this feature. Alongside knocking, we actually also implemented some other things. Since knocking also required implementing addresses, changing the room visibility, changing the room access type. So now admins have actually the ability of changing and tweaking their room settings for security and privacy, which is something that, as you can see, for a normal user does not appear. But if you're actually an admin of the room, you will see this new section here, security and privacy, which will show you all possible options for the room access. For example, you can make it invite only. You can make it a fully public room that anyone can join, or an ask to join room. You can actually also change the address. For example, let's name it knock demo hello there and save it, which will actually update the address. As you can see, it actually also has updated on the other screen for the account while I'm seeing the room details. And you can do other things like making the room visible in the public directory, which will not work on Mix.org. So probably if you want to test this, do that on another home server. And actually also enable end-to-end encryption. Of course, since you could enable end-to-end encryption on a room that is actually public, we actually put quite a big disclaimer before doing so. So up to the user if they want to go that route, since it comes with some some weird behaviors if you have a public room which is also end-to-end encrypted. And also the possibility of changing the read history settings, which of course will also depend if you want to make the room invite only or a public room. And yeah, as soon as you are convinced of the change that you want to make to the settings, you just press the save button, and that's it. The room settings have changed. So any questions about the feature?
Very good. Very good. I don't think we've got any questions from the floor. And in which case, was there someone?
No, just me saying it's looking great, and we've been waiting for knocking forever. You can see some clapping in the darkness from the other side of the planet.
Yeah, it took us quite some time, but I'm very happy with the result. So I think it was worth that extra time to make it look this good.
Yeah, looks beautiful.
All right, staying on our Element X theme, Doug, you're going to tell us all about an event cache. Why should people care about event caches, Doug?
Hello. Yeah, well, a great question. Let me share my screen first. Perfect, you can see that. So yeah, I'm going to demo two different things. I'm going to start off talking about the event cache, which is something the Rust team have been working on. And then I'm going to move on to some of the improvements to media that we have been working on. So yeah, the event cache has been built by the Rust team. Big shout out to Ivan, and I think Benji's been helping him, and everyone who's chipped in. This is very nice. This is going to make the app significantly faster. It's not enabled yet, but we've got it under a feature flag, and we're starting to play with it. So I've got here two simulators. They're both signed into exactly the same account, and the one on the right has the event cache enabled, and the one on the left doesn't. So it's just exactly how the app is today. Before this demo, I've gone through the Element X iOS room, and I've backpaginated all the way back to somewhere in December. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kill the app on both phones. I'm going to launch it again. And we'll start off looking at what's it like to backpaginate on the current app. So as I scroll back, we immediately get a little loading indicator, and again, and again, and depending on your home server, sometimes that can be fast, sometimes it can be slow. But you can see we're hitting up against these. So whilst that one's doing its thing, I'm now going to open it on this one, and I should just be able to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and nothing is stopping me from going back. So yeah, this is going to be a night and day change once you started to cache things. What I can also do is I am going to quit the app again, and over here I've got a firewall. I am going to block access from Element X to get out on the internet. I'm going to open the room again. So this is now as though we haven't got an internet connection, and I can also just keep scrolling back. All the data is coming from the event cache. And yeah, and you can see this one over here is now hasn't got a clue what to do, but we're still working great. So yeah, that is the event cache that will be coming soon. Now let me enable that again. Okay, and so moving on to media, we're going to do this in two parts. I'm going to look at the changes to sending media on iOS, and then Benoit has made a recording about what receiving media, the changes that we made on that side. So let me find my notes. Hold on. So the first thing to talk about on iOS is that we've now got a share extension. So if I'm looking through my photos and I find a pretty picture that I want to share, I can click share. I can choose Element X directly from here. It throws me over to the app. I can choose where I would like to share it to and hit share. And it opens up our usual share sheet, which transitions very nicely over to the next change that we've made, where we can now add captions. So I can add onto this. Here is a lovely image. There's a little warning here, just to say that captions are obviously we've implemented them on Element X. Not all Matrix clients may have support these, so just to make sure that people are aware of that, I'm all right with that. I'm going to hit send. Now, what you should see there is that as soon as I hit send, the image went instantly. So that's the next change that we've made, where we have local echoes. So previously, when you hit send, you would wait on that screen until we had uploaded the media, which from an image might not take too long, but for videos that could be quite a long wait. Whereas now, we just put the preview into the timeline and it uploads in the background like that. So what else am I going to show? If I go back, it's quite hard to find the right order for this. If I go back into Safari, I am going to share a link which works through the share extension. I can do exactly the same thing, and it will pop up here ready for me to send. So it works with multiple different formats. And you can also, probably worth saying, you can see the caption that I included there. So that's shown nicely in line. And the last thing is, if I go the old way and share a video, like this one, I'm going to add another little caption onto here. Isn't this lovely? When we send videos, we're converting them in the background. So by default, we convert them down to 720p. And with images, we also do a similar thing. We reduce them to, I think, a maximum length of 2048. And that used to be another step in the process that once you hit send, you would be waiting for. Whereas hopefully now I've talked for long enough that when I hit send, the conversion was happening whilst we were waiting. So it's just one of those little optimization steps that like makes life easier, and it feels like that video is not sent, but it feels like it's sending an awful lot quicker. So yeah, I think that's all of the changes to sending media. And now I shall hand over to Benoit via recording, I think, of what it looks like to receive media on Element X.
All right, very good. Doug, that's a difficult thing to demo. Excellent demo craft. I think you got your message across really well there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, just give me a moment, and I'll get Benoit going.
How are you even going to do this? I'm excited.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Hopefully we get some Benoit.
Good morning, everyone. Today I will demo the media viewer that we have implemented on ElementX Android and on ElementX iOS, but I will only show ElementX Android. Previously it was possible to swipe between medias when coming from the media and files, also known media browser. So if I open a media here, we can swipe between them to see like a slideshow of all your medias. So I've got only images here, but it's also working for videos. And we are able to show the caption if the media has caption. It's possible to dismiss the screen by just swiping to the top. And it's also possible to swipe between files. So files are text, PDF, and also audio files, like regular MP3 or other audio format, but also voice messages. So here I have a test file. I can open it, so I just see a preview, but I can download it and open it using an external application. But I can also swipe to see the next voice message. But what's new is the ability to open the media from the timeline and swipe from the timeline. So it was not possible before, but we've done some work to make this available for the users. The other way to see media are using the pinned timeline, the pinned event. So we have a special view of all the pinned events. So it's possible to open the media and to swipe between medias from there. For now, we are not swiping between pinned medias, but it will come in the near future. We are working on that at the moment. What else I wanted to show? Oh yes, so of course it's possible to open a media from a detached timeline. So if I click on a permalink, which will give me make me navigate to the beginning of the room, I can open media from there, and I'm able to swipe between medias. So yeah, so no problem there. Okay, so I think that was pretty all for today. Let me know if you have some questions. I can't answer them with a video, but I will be happy to answer later. Thank you very much, and have a good weekend. Bye.
I love how even though that was a recording, we were still interactive with all the emoji responses. Very nice indeed. Quentin, you have the floor. What have you got for us?
Yes. So it's going to be a little less visual because obviously I'm on the backend team, so we don't have pretty things like client devs. But I wanted to talk to you about the migration of Matrix.org to Matrix Authentication Service. So let me share my screen quickly. First of all, if you don't know it, Matrix Authentication Service is our project to our implementation of the next generation of authentication for Matrix. It's a complete rewrite from the ground up. One thing I wanted to shout about is that, well, we just got 0.13 out, so it's the first version since September, I think. That version is packed, so I'll let you go through the changelog offline. I'm not going to talk about this right now. What I wanted to talk about is that because Matrix Authentication Service is a complete replacement of what Synapse used to do for authentication, user management, etc. It has a separate database, meaning that we have this step of like actually importing all the data from Synapse to Matrix Authentication Service. We had a previous implementation of that was done quickly in JavaScript. It worked for small-ish deployment. It had a few quirks. The problem is on Matrix.org, there's around 48 million access tokens to import and 100 million users or something like that. And that implementation was not going to fly for this. And especially in terms of speed, because during the migration, we can't have Synapse running right now. We have to shut down Synapse for during the migration, and we can't shut down matrix.org for a day or something like that for waiting for those 45 million access tokens to import. So a colleague of mine has started working on a new migration tool that is written in Rust, and it is more integrated. And that, yeah, he's been so Oliver spent a bunch of time on this, and I kind of wanted to show it off. So here's the big scary terminal. I'm currently connected on on the production database. Don't kill me, please.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna run a special version of mass, giving it the configuration for mass, calling syn to mass, so that's Synapse to Matrix Authentication Service, telling it, I swear I'm just testing in a staging environment, which is false, but still. I'm gonna pass the old Synapse config because it still needs to check a bunch of things and connect to the Synapse database, and I'm gonna tell it to migrate. It's not the actual production migration right now. I'm just importing to show it off. So it's gonna do a bunch of things. First, it's gonna look at the database, look if everything is all right, that you have configured everything correctly, that you're not running something that we're not supporting right now. So that's gonna take a little bit of time. But so the thing I'm excited about, we really optimized the thing for speed. So here you go. You see a few warnings about this migration of stuff we have on matrix.org that we actually don't support. And here it's just starting to import the 100 million users, and it's pretty fast. So this step in particular takes about 4 minutes, something like that. I'm not gonna go through the whole process right now because the whole thing takes about right now 20 minutes with the database online. We probably can still trim it a little bit down, but that's still impressive. So what I wanted to show is actually a trace of a run I did earlier. So you see here, we're spending a bunch of time, 4 minutes migrating the users, 6 minutes migrating the access tokens, 2 minutes importing the devices. And the interesting thing that you see here is that before we're actually importing stuff, it might not be showing here, but we're actually trying to optimize for speed here. So one thing we're doing is disabling all the database constraints beforehand and restoring afterwards. So that's those other 6 minutes are here is us restoring the database, the fact that username have to be unique and stuff like that. But yeah, this is where we are. I'm pretty happy with 20 minutes for migrating 100 million users. Hopefully we can get this to the hands of everyone and make the tool basically foolproof and allow everyone to just migrate to Matrix Authentication Service.
That's great.
Very cool. Quentin, how, if someone is running, I don't know, a 20-person home server, what sort of speed do you think this is going to? It's going to be what, seconds?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much instant.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, lots of questions over the weekend on how someone might go about upgrading to MAS, and this looks like it's just going to be the ticket for that. Very good. All right. Finally, sorry, did anyone have any questions for Quentin there?
So when are we doing it? Sorry if I missed it. When are we going to have the mysterious 20 minutes of downtime on matrix.org?
Probably in a few weeks from now, maybe more in the month ballpark. We previously aimed for mid-February. It's gonna look like more the beginning of March, something like that. Still a bunch of things we need to figure out.
Cool. And one other quick question. I may have missed this, but does it have a 100% dry run mode so that when you run it and 80% of the way through it hits multi-byte weird 6 code point UTF-8 thing that crashes it?
Yeah.
You anticipate that?
Yeah, that's definitely one. The other thing, we've made sure that like the tool, if it crashes in the middle, it can actually like reset the database and go down from scratch and restore the constraints and stuff like that. So we did a bunch of work to make sure that like you're not screwing up your database for some reason. But yeah.
Hugh has his hand up.
Are you how are the MSCs? Are you waiting for FCP to complete before pressing the button on matrix.org?
Yes, that's part of the plan as well, and the reason why we're not doing that tomorrow as well. We've asked for the pre-FCP ticks. There's still a bunch of concerns, so there's still a bit of back and forth with the spec core team on there, and obviously we're gonna migrate only until when some of the MSCs are actually gone through FCP.
Sounds like a subliminal message. If you want the migration to happen, accelerate it.
It's actually blocked on me. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Excellent question, Hugh. Loving your work. All right, Quentin, thank you very much. David, with your super early release, very much arm-twisted demo, yeah, take it away. If you weren't already, it might be just helpful to give a little bit of an idea of why this doesn't even exist today. Why don't we have this today?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we basically have encrypted message search on Element Desktop at the moment, but we don't have it on Element Web due to some technical limitations. So that's what I was kind of bumbling around in the code in over the Christmas period. I had a PR that I was putting together to see, if there's something we could do there in web or how far I could bring it. And yeah, got it to an interesting enough point, and then it was sitting in a branch somewhere, not really doing anything. So Neil said, "Why don't you share it?" And I agree, that's probably a good idea. That it's probably more just a conversation starter than something that's going to be polished anytime soon. But I'd love to get kind of thoughts and feedback from other people who have maybe more experience in the area that could help kind of push some of it along. But at a high level, we have a component on Element Desktop called Seshat. It's a library that we use basically for encrypted message search. So I have a PR here that basically tries to bring it to web. Very roughly, kind of at a high level, how it works is there's kind of two flows. You're either saving messages, so you have live messages that people are sending you within Element, or historical messages. So when you log in, we download a bunch of messages in the background. These messages get sent over to Seshat. They're indexed by a search engine that we use called Tantivy. And these are persisted to a file in the search index and are also saved to an SQL database. And then the second flow is when people are actually typing in search queries to find messages. User types in a query, that's passed to Seshat. We use the search engine to efficiently look up the search results that match that query, which gives you a bunch of event IDs. We then go talk to the SQL database to get the metadata around those events and basically send them back, and the results are kind of presented to the user. So I basically looked to implement a WASM version of Seshat. So WASM is a kind of portable format that we can use both on desktop and web. There's a bunch of hurdles. Some I overcame, some are yet to be overcome, and some possibly can't. But yeah, just want to give a bit of a picture of those. And if people have ideas or thoughts or questions, would love to hear. The first one isn't too much of a challenge. There's one here around multi-thread nature of Tantavi. Tantavi uses multi-threaded implementation. There is also some parts of it that support single thread, but it's basically all multi-thread. So the challenge is that WASM doesn't natively support threads. You can kind of get them working using web workers, whereby you create a pool of web workers, you pass that over the bridge, and you can get the threads working that way. I think there's also, so that's basically the approach I took. Made a fork of Tantavi, made a minor enough amount of code changes to allow it to work in that mode. But I also noticed that there's a threads proposal for WebAssembly that I think is getting further along, and there's some libraries popping up. So there might be better options for doing that in a nicer way. But so it seems kind of possible. I got something working, so it is somewhat possible. But to make it real, there's probably still a few risks there. Seshat also relies on an SQLite database. The library it uses is called RusQLite, which when I wrote this didn't have WASM support. So I investigated switching over to Diesel, which does have WASM support and persists to OPFS, which is Origin Private File System in the browser. That was the bulk of this code. I then went back and looked at it today, and it looks like somebody might have come close to adding WASM support to RusQLite. So again, there's a few options there. I got something working, but probably still a few risks. And then, yes, so one of the bigger kind of uncertainties around it is in saving the data to disk in an encrypted format. So for the SQL database, we need to save it in an encrypted SQL database, which is typically for SQLite, it is SQL Cipher. And it's unclear from me at the moment as to whether you can actually get that working within WASM. There's some hacky solutions to it, but I'm not sure if that's actually supported at the moment. Another option would be not using an SQL database, but maybe create an abstraction of the database and use something like IndexedDB. But that would be probably a bigger investment to change within the library. And then the other challenge is just saving the actual search index in an encrypted format as well. I think this should be possible, basically using a similar approach to we do at the moment, but saving it to the OPFS. So yeah, they're the different challenges. If anyone has thoughts on some of that or how we could push it forward, I'd be interested. I'll give a quick demo of it kind of working. Basically, let me just quickly change over here. Just to explain. This is very quickly what the code looks like. We have a bunch of events here that we're formulating. We commit them across the bridge to Seshat, and then this is within a worker. We listen for this search post message, and we perform a search on Seshat here, and then we print out the results. So what that looks like very quickly is back here. So this is the example app running in the browser. I'll just refresh the page, which will should do. There we go. Which hasn't really done a whole lot. You can see here the events DB has been initialized because we have sent the events into Seshat, and it's now storing the SQLite database in this OPFS file space within the browser. I can then run a command if I get to the console here, which will basically send that post message to search the database. And you can see it returns a result for one of the for the query, giving you kind of a score and different values back for the event. So not too exciting, nothing in UI, but just something that demonstrates it's possible at least to do a bunch of the stuff within WASM. There's still some uncertainties around other aspects of it.
All right. Thank you very much. Right. Thank you, everyone. Matrix Live, that's your lot until next month. See you then.